Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Souboutei Must Be Destroyed, chapters 15 to 20. First of all, right off the bat, thank you very much, Mr. Steak, for putting out all these new chapters. For those of you who don't know, he's now, putting them out without the help of the rest of Helvetica scans, which I've heard has led to a decrease in, visual quality, but the chapters are actually coming out, which is nice. I mean, best case scenario is that Souboutei eventually gets picked up, and then we'll get all the chapters in gorgeous, gorgeous official quality. But before then, I would rather be able to read the series than not read the series. I will always prefer to read a series with some problems in the scanlation process, as opposed to just not being able to ever read the series. So, they're going into Souboutei. My mind's been racing at this specifically. The fact that this chapter is called Souboutei. The previous chapter was Souboutei Invasion. This is just Souboutei. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, that's right. So we've got the rest of the paranormal crew along with Morita and Yadarigi. Okay. Well then. Yeah, okay. So I've been a little stunned at this. I've just been taking it all in, because at first I thought, well, this doesn't seem too weird. But then I realized, first of all, this seems very well lit, and this is indoors. Is this a part of Souboutei where there just isn't a ceiling, or is there some sort of weird ethereal lighting? Secondarily, the thing that first caught my eye was all these pinwheels going downwards, because again, they're inside. There's also a wind chime here. It's clearly designed to be sort of a village, but the more you look at it, the worse it is. Just at a glance, it's yeah, whatever. But there's no reason for this. God damn. The more I look at it, I'm sorry if I had to make a bunch of cuts to cut out all the silence, but I'm stunned. This is clearly supposed to be a circular window, but it's not. This ladder goes nowhere. It's most likely completely useless. There's a bunch of space above it. This banister, I assume this is supposed to be a banister, is just in the side of this building. Also, these I keep on calling them buildings. I keep on calling them houses, but Souboutei is a house. So these can't be that much bigger than small shacks. And if you scale from Stomu here, if you just imagine him moving downwards a bit, this this would just be about the size of him. He'd be able to just barely stand up in it. It'd be like an outhouse almost. So oh boy, this is making my head hurt. Let's move. Let's stop looking at this. Okay, there's some sort of incline we can't see from the outside, which Souboutei was built around. Fair enough. This also means, assuming this is true, it might not be. This might just be weird ghost physics at work, but I hope it isn't. I do hope that the interior of Souboutei does not change, because I assume this is not going to be the only time the characters ever go into Souboutei. I mean, my immediate prediction, by the way, is that everyone except for Morita, Yadarigi, and then Stomu and Kurenai, everyone else will die. Just everyone else. Probably not, since we are setting up all these new paranormal characters. You could have one or two survive randomly, but I'm going to assume they all die, as well as all the cannon fodder. But when that happens, I want all this information to be valid. If the characters ever come back into Souboutei, I want this to be this is all basically exactly the same. Because, I don't know, there's something exciting about that. It's that feeling of exploring a new dungeon in a Pokemon game or something, where just going through it a bunch of times, you're able to figure it out until you don't even need to use Flash to look in the interior. There's something about that kind of progression that I really like. I'm really the most curious about Kurome here, because with the others, the sisters are pretty obviously, their power has something to do with sights, because they all have the sunglasses on. They keep on talking about it they're, they're seers, basically. So I could see them being useful. Then you've got the science boy, who I assume he actually will be useful, because he seems it's the combination of, the series is treating him seriously, and also he's a relatively respectable person. Whereas Kurome and the sisters have been very mocking. So I feel like the general horror trope is that the shittier you are as a person, the easier it is for the monsters to kill you, until you're left with the last girl who, isn't. But let's not go that far. the main thing there is that I'm very curious to see what he does. I'm very curious to see what the fire girl can do. Pyro Mary, or no, Pyro Mary is the doll, and then the lady who owns it. Then her, I don't remember what their names were. Anyways, I'm curious to see what they'll do, and I'm curious about Kurome for the exact opposite reason of all of that. I'm curious because he seems like a general, just like monk character. He seems like he would just basically just do what Kurenai does, but worse. So why is he here? Like, is he here just to die, or is there something else to him? Oh boy, okay. Yeah, why would someone hang all these hats like that? Like, I assume these are hats of all the various people that have come into Souboutei and have died. Or not even the people that have come into it, but just people that have disappeared. Like, in the same way that the, the plane that Seiichi was on disappeared because of Souboutei. Like, I assume a lot of people disappeared in ways like that. Basically, this house is a collection of Thomasons. I've only seen that word a few times, but, like, it's one of those words where anytime it comes up in any series, the characters have to stop for a moment to explain it, or the narrator has to stop and explain it. I have a fondness for that kind of thing. Yeah. 99% Invisible did a really good episode on Thomasons. Oh boy, I would not look through these peepholes though. Like, oh boy. Also, I do apologize. I keep on going backwards because I'm very used to the new Viz site where, like, the left key makes you go forward, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Please don't set him on fire. Please don't set him on fire. God dang. Wow. Why? What absolute jerks. Like, again, going over my previous theory of, the worse you are as a person, the faster it is that you'll die. Just because, like, these two didn't get super mad when, like, Stomu tripped over her, it's very clear he wasn't he wasn't watching where he was going. They had every right to be mad at him, but the fact that they weren't makes me think that, well, they're probably a bit better than these guys. So they're probably on the same level of survival as Science Boy, as Dr. Augusto. Oh, geez. Is she actually going to set him on fire? Kurenai coming in with the save. I'm really glad that she is such a proactive protagonist. Like, in general, Stomu and Kurenai I was going to say as a couple, but that's not exactly what I want to say. Like, as a duo of protagonists, they're both very, very proactive, but in different ways. And I'm really glad that Kurenai especially is, like, she's got that country bumpkin feel to her where, like, she will break social norms just because, like, that she's not used to them. I find that very charming because she's got that, but then the series doesn't, like, the series makes her an outsider, but it's not too extreme. It's just enough to keep her charming without it being, like, a drag. It doesn't feel like it's her gimmick. It just feels like a subtle part of who she is. Like that, and also her accents. It feels weird that I'm just saying, oh yeah, this series does characterization really well. I feel like I've said that every reaction, but it's true. Like, I can't get over how good Souboutei is at, like, subtle characterization for all these characters that can switch very quickly from, like, being very subtle to being incredibly exaggerated. Okay, they may have obtained some allies. Oh? Is this just, the feeling of a prickly, like, is it just the feeling of goosebumps on his neck, or are those actually tentacles of some sorts? God damn, I keep on using the wrong button. I'm so sorry. Okay, please, show your worth. Oh my god, okay. That is a really cool image. Like, I know I've been trashing on them as, I've been trashing them as, human beings, and I still do think they're horrible human beings. But man, that's such a cool idea for an ability. Oh boy, okay, so those are all of our victims. Although, interestingly enough, they're all wearing their hats. And, like, usually I'd be nitpicking. I feel like I'd be nitpicking when I say that, but literally all of them are wearing some sort of hats. So I bet if they go back now, all those hooks will be completely empty. Oh my god, there's so many of them too. Like, first of all, gorgeous detail here. But also, like, the fact that they can be they can walk up two at a time, and the spiral goes down that far, and I assume it goes down even further than that. Like, jeez. Huh? Zombies are undead, but these folk are still alive. Okay. Okay, so I have been thinking about this a little with like there's that scene where Seiichi and Rokuro are talking, and um Seiichi specifically asks Rokuro, like, hey, like if your sister's that awesome, why didn't you ask her for help with Souboutei? And Rokuro specifically says, like, what's in that house is not, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but like he made a point that what's in this house is not the same as the things she usually fights. So I'm thinking that whatever these are, like, first of all, whatever these are probably the same as what Seiichi is right now. Where, like, he hasn't aged, he hasn't withered away the way that these have, but, like, he's some sort of inhuman thing. Like, he's not undead. He is still alive. They were still able to get, like, vitals off of him. But there's something wrong. I'm going to say that he's probably one of these, but just self-aware. For whatever reason, something saved his mind. Also, I'm this is just a tiny little thing, but I am very curious to see whether these have eyes or not. Like, did the eyes actually fall out, or are they just so sunken into their heads that from a distance they look totally black? I'm really curious. Like, like the fact that the series keeps on bringing up this idea of beings that are still alive but are still like horribly warped. It makes me think that it's going to play into the series somehow. Like, we're going to get some, like, not a scientific explanation for how this all works, but some rules, some like specific rules as to how everything works. We'll see though. I don't necessarily need rules. Okay, so going into the beta chapters now. All right, chapter 16, the fighters. So I guess we're going to see everyone finally, do their thing. Actually, now that I think about it, I never assumed that like the science guys would be able to fight. Will they? Like, will they have like ghost busting technology or something? But yeah, like, especially with this, I'm the kind of person who does think a lot about, like, would I be able to kill zombies in a zombie apocalypse? Like, would I be able to take a human life? And most of the time it's like, no, I'd probably let myself die instead. But in this specific situation, like, because of what Souboutei is, I just, as a foot soldier, would just assume, like, oh, there's probably no way to save them. Whatever. Like, it'd be better to kill them than to let them continue on. I probably wouldn't have a lapse of judgment like this. Though, to be fair, like, I might be wrong considering Seiichi specifically. Like, maybe all these people are, like, maybe they're all still conscious. Who knows? Also, I am glad that the sound effects are translated. Like, they don't have to be typeset, but I am glad that they're at least translated because, especially with like quiet scenes, like the scene last chapter with the creaking, I don't think I would have gotten the intent of that scene if I hadn't been able to understand the sound effects. Oh, jeez. Okay. Hot damn, y'all are possessed as shit. That is interesting to note, though, like, that it might be possible to, like, to unpossess them, to, like, to banish whatever, like, malignant force is controlling them, but it's a lot easier just to kill them. Okay. He's relatively powerful, like, I'll give it to that. And also, it seems like his fighting style is more mage-like, whereas Kurenai is definitely more of a swords person. Like, she has some sort of spiritual energy, but it's mostly just cutting things with her blades. Also, I'm curious as to like what her sisters can do while she has all of their eyes. Like, can they like? I assume they can't see, but like, do they still have something else going on, or does she have to return the eyes for them to be of any use? Ooh, okay. So yes, they do absolutely have abilities. It's interesting that they all like both Kurame and the sisters seem to have a Buddhist quality to their abilities too. Like, I know that was kind of implied when they first debuted, but I wasn't totally sure if they were all going to be like of separate belief systems or not. All right, like they're doing a lot better than they thought they would. It makes sense though. Like, if they are going to die later on, it makes sense to say right now, like, look, they're not pushovers. So if they die, it's not meaningless. Like, there is some meaning to it. Is she going to kill them though? Like, now that she knows that they're still alive, will she try to exercise them or will she just kill them off? Okay, I won't take their lives. Instead, okay. Okay, so she's just disabling them. Fair enough. I'm a little scared that's gonna bite her in the butt though. Like, if they can regenerate, then that would be a problem. Or even if, if they can just, like, slither on the ground and bite. Oh, okay, science boys? Science boys? No, Pyromary. Awesome. Hey, one good turn deserves another, right? Oh boy, okay, now it's science boy time. We have these, which can damage in the physical and spiritual both. Okay. It's like, is it electricity of some sorts? I mean, it seems like it from the buzzed effects. Okay, so they're like gauntlets. Oh, that's really cool. Alright, so we've established everyone can hold their own in one way or another. Also, like, I do appreciate that the guys with guns were able to, do stuff. Like, it wasn't the most effective, but at the same time, like, guns are somewhat vaguely effective. Like, I do think that like, monsters or, like, just an enemy in general that you can shoot is a lot scarier than one you can't. Because if bullets have absolutely no effect, then it's like, well, the bullet, like, shooting is just a thing that I'm doing to make myself feel good, or it's just something the character is doing for the sake of doing it. It's not that interesting. There's no tension there. Like, there's less tension because you know it's not going to work. Whereas with something like this, where there's a swarm of monsters, I guess that's the appeal of zombies now that I think about it. Like, because there's a possibility of the guns working, that makes it scarier, because it's like, well, we've got a fighting chance, but maybe we'll be overwhelmed. And yeah, like, I can't disagree with him. Sure, they most likely can't come back to normal. Maybe they can, but in this instance, as much as I hate to agree, it does make sense to kill them. Souboutei is actually, and then just darkness. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, okay. This was a solid chapter. I mean, it was mostly fighting, which is not what I read Souboutei for, but it is always really good. Like, I was a bit silent because I'm not good at talking during fight scenes. I rarely ever have something to say apart from like, oh, that's a cool ability or something. But I do appreciate how everyone was different in their own rights and how everyone does feel powerful. Like, they all feel like they could be the protagonists of their own little miniseries. So, like, while I do have my theories as to who will die first and that people will die, at the same time, I can buy into this feeling that they could all come out of this alive, which I always really enjoy. Like, I was talking about this recently in Jump, that a lot of series I don't like specifically because I don't want the characters to survive, or I don't want them to succeed. It's creating that desire to see a character succeed, regardless of whether, in a meta sense, you can tell, like, oh, this character has to win or this character has to lose. Creating that feeling of, I want these people to succeed, is vital to any series. And while I don't want all these characters to succeed, like, I still don't like the sisters as people, Souboutei is setting up this feeling of, well, at the very most, like, I want the party as a whole to succeed, and I know they have a better chance of succeeding if everyone survives. So, like, by that virtue, I do want everyone to win. If anyone gets hurt, I'm going to be shocked. Even if I don't like them specifically, I'll be shocked because it lowers the chances of everyone's survival. I hope that made some sort of sense. But, like, I really do appreciate that. It's something I think a lot of horror series don't do, because it's very easy to do a horror series where you don't care a whole lot about the, like, the monsters, and at the same time, you don't care that much about the victims, because most of them are going to die. And the audience is going to root for them by virtue of, oh, well, that's the trope, is these people are going to be hunted, you want to empathize with them, you want to go like, oh, no, don't be killed. And I think a lot of horror series just sort of assume that you're going to empathize with them, and therefore they don't do anything to make you, like, want the victims to survive. I really appreciate that Souboutei has more or less made me want everyone to survive. Okay, that's enough blathering on. Cut to black. Okay. Can't see a thing, and I've practiced in the darkest mountain depths. Oh, okay, that's good to note. Yeah, so much that we almost didn't need the floodlights at all. That also does explain why it is that when they first entered this room, it felt so incredibly bright. Because there were windows, even if I didn't consciously see them at all. Okay. I'm really, really scared, specifically because everyone is very powerful physically. I'm scared that they're going to kill each other somehow. Like, Souboutei will use some sort of like illusions to force them to try to attack various targets, and then the targets they kill are actually going to be other people. All right, cut to the Prime Minister's house. I was gonna say his office, but no, it's his official residence. So I assume it's you know, I guess it could be like, the Japanese White House. I didn't even consider that actually. Like, I assumed that these two would be sort of on a wild goose chase for a while. And then the original Souboutei party would, be kicked out / they'd run away, and then we'd have Rokuro finally meet up with Kurenai, and vice versa. Everyone would meet up, and then they'd create a secondary party to go in. But it's also possible they could come in and save everyone. Okay. Yeah, then you most likely will follow us to Souboutei. Like, I know they said that, but I didn't believe it. Even now, I don't fully believe it, but we'll see. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Are they gonna try and kill Seiichi? I mean, this isn't a good look. What the hell is happening? Oh, jeez. Okay. I guess they're just gonna have to make a break for it then. I mean, I'm glad that they're able to, hold their own, but... Oh. Is this guy gonna die? Oh, no. Okay. That is not what I thought he was gonna do. Okay, yeah. I really appreciate that, that Seiichi didn't kill anyone here. Yeah, we didn't do anything wrong. Wait, is this the Prime Minister? No. Okay. Oh no, this is the Prime Minister. That's right. His name was Atsushi. There's something very amusing about this specific panel. I don't know why. I guess it's because of the way he's like kneeling down. I mean, wasn't there a better way to figure out how good they were at fighting? Okay, also, he moved on very quickly from the drill thing. But the room was plunged into pitch black. You dodged my agent's batons perfectly. Right. Oh, okay, that's how it ties in. Like, I did have a vague inkling that this was supposed to tie into the weird darkness in Souboutei itself, but okay. So, if you've been victimized by Souboutei, you gain that ability to see in pitch black darkness. And I assume that also carries over to, like, Soboutei's darkness. So in this specific situation, if Rokuro was there, he'd be able to see perfectly fine. Oh, that's such a cool idea. Like, it's a neat, like, superhuman ability that isn't, it's not chuny. It's not like, oh, I have superpowers. It's an ability that is just incredibly useful, especially in Souboutei. Okay, wait a minute. So, if we cut back to this, yeah, so she was looking at this portrait of herself. The girl who came in with us encountered something horrifying. Just prior to that, she'd seen something on the wall and stopped in front of it. A picture of most likely a painting hung up on the wall. Oh dear. Oh boy. So this was a good chapter. I'm glad that we got more Seiichi and Rokuro. And I mean, considering what the Prime Minister has been like before, like considering that part of his plan, like in the first chapter was, all right, without telling anyone, we're gonna bomb Souboutei. Like, I do agree, this isn't character. This is definitely something he would do in order to tell whether these two kids are strong or not. So I'm very scared. So far, I'm going to continue on with my theory of they're all gonna kill each other, but it's neat that we're bringing up the painting as like a level of Souboutei. Like, presumably, anytime someone goes in, the house attacks them in the same way, including this painting thing. Oh, that's right. There was a portrait that we saw before. And wasn't there one when Rokuro and his dad went in? I remember specifically there being like this super blurry, weird portraits. Okay. So they've all been separated. They're all looking at portraits of themselves. Oh, that's right, it's Shinichi. I remember the names Atsushi and Shin. So I was curious, it's like, wait a minute, Kiryu, that wasn't his name, but no, it was Shinichi, okay. Oh my god. I never thought that we would get, like, an actual backstory for them. I kind of assumed it would just be like, yeah, Like, what we got is what we got, and that's all it is. I really didn't, especially this early into the series. Actually, like if it was going to, if it was ever going to happen, I would have assumed it was going to be like in chapter 90 or something. I'm really excited because one thing Souboutei has done consistently within like these first like 18-ish chapters or so is that they've cut off all sorts of very simple ways to prolong the story in the future. Like there's a lot of things that'll happen in manga where you can tell like, okay, this is being set up. It's not going to pay off in the short term, but you know, later on when the mangaka has run out of ideas, they'll come back to this. Like it's just a loose thread that can be tied into something in the future. Souboutei doesn't really do that. Like they've tied up so many loose threads already. That makes me so insanely excited because I know the series goes on for a while. I don't know exactly how much has come out already, but I know it's been running for quite a while. And I'm very excited to see like, well, how does it continue? I really do appreciate seeing them as old men, like contrasted with their young selves. It feels so it's so weird. I guess it's the contrast of like the fact that in Japanese series especially, I only really ever think of old people talking about their like their young days in very specific moments of like, oh, this is like, you know, they're reminiscing about their youth, or they're talking to a young kid and they're saying like, all right, so like this is my failed love story. It's usually like very simple things, whereas this feels like a trauma. It feels like two old men or like, you know, middle-aged men trying to process their trauma each time, and whenever they talk about it, the way they speak kind of lapses back into the way they did when they were young. Okay, cases where people go in half jokingly but then leave unscathed, they're quite common. This painting, right. Okay, so we are establishing it as being consistent. Yes, everyone sees the painting. I don't remember specifically if we saw this, like if we saw that it was a painting of his dad, but I do remember specifically the like yeah, and they are different sizes too. So it is like literally a different painting for each person that goes in. I appreciate the consistency of the series, even when it comes to things that are intentionally like not consistent. Like it makes it very easy to put together theories and whatnot. And even establishing that, yeah, the sisters are separated, and each of them got a different painting. Oh, interestingly enough, though, like these two plus the actually is the doll there? I don't think it is. No, it's just the two of them. Okay, huh? So the paint like the house can have multiple people in the same painting. It's really interesting too, because I assumed part of the reason they were separated was to, you know, to make them weaker. Yet the house allowed the two of them to stay together. I guess maybe because there's just no way that the two of them would be separated. Okay. Oh, jeez. And this smash cut between Nanako and then Kurenai. Oh boy. Oh boy, it's happening to everyone. Presumably at the same time. It is possible to leave Souboutei after entering, as long as you don't find your self-portraits. Okay, so that's why. Because they saw her with her own self-portrait, and then they later saw her when, you know, she jump-scared them, for lack of a better term. But they never saw their own self-portraits. That's how they were able to leave. Right, okay, that's where I remember the frame from. It was from him bursting out of it. Actually, what if this was Rokuro's self-portraits? I'll have to reread the chapter to see if that actually makes sense or not. But what if this was Rokuro's self-portrait, and somehow his dad was able to like find the wall where it spawned, and then jump out of it and destroy it, specifically so Rokuro wouldn't see it? I mean, the more likely assumption is that this was just Rokuro's dad's self-portraits. But okay, it was all over. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to assume that the next few chapters are going to be the characters like in their own individual dream worlds being tested in some way. Oh, I made a dumb name for a group, so it's all under the same place on Manga Dex. Okay. Wait, what is your group name? It should be on the stake in the mud. Nice. Okay. I might join the Souboutei Discord. Why not? Okay, huh? So I assumed, like, because we had that moment, I assumed that everyone, like, got split up and they all started seeing their own self-portraits. But no, so at least some of the army guys, plus Stomu specifically. Why? Like, I'm really curious about that. Was it because Kurenai ran off, like, was it because she separated herself because she thought she was going to have to fight? Or no, she was fighting. Never mind, that's why. So I assume it's everyone who physically went out to go fight some of the, what would I even call them? The possessed, I suppose, not the undead. Such a rude man. Morita would have been way nicer. Oh boy. Yeah, like, man, I really hope Morita doesn't die. Oh my god, I just realized Morita's most likely going to be, like, screwed up by the painting. He's gonna come out and then he's going to attack his own men. Oh? In the painting, drawn in behind Morita, there's a background. On the other side, there's something floating. I guess I won't go back, but did everyone have that situation? Oh, it's him. It's him. Okay. Oh, so it's like, it's not just that it's creating, like, a fantasy world to test them. It's specifically bringing out, at the very least, it's bringing out one of Morita's past memories. I'm curious as to whether it's going to be a memory for everyone or not. Ah, single puppy was clinging, seemingly about to be swept away. I could probably save it if I take off my shoes and roll up my pants, but I hate getting wet. Ah, right. Oh, jeez. That's so relatable, too. Like, not in the sense that I've ever been in this specific situation, but it's such a simple situation that I can heavily understand it, and I can heavily imagine myself being in the same situation and doing the same thing. Oh. Right, she's trying to understand all of this very logically. Oh boy. And again, she was regressed down to the age she was at the time. This one also specifically makes me wonder, like, is this actually her father physically there? Or is it a manifestation by Souboutei? I assume it's gotta be, like, I assume it has to be something made by Souboutei, because, But at the same time, maybe he already went through his portraits, and then he was warped, and then he showed up in this. I don't know. I'm going to assume that these are all fantasy things, though. Like, they're all happening within the mind of the person, as opposed to being in a part of Souboutei that's been transformed. Okay, so he was broken, and now he's climbing out of his own mirror, his own painting. So I guess this kind of dashes my theory of Rokuro's dad being the one who, like, I assume that was Rokuro's dad coming out of his own portraits before. And it's not like him smashing through Rokuro's portraits. Yeah, it's happening. Wait, what? So it's not even... Huh. Did she take the gauntlets from her father, then? Because it's clearly supposed to be the same ability, but did she also have gauntlets, or was it... I guess we only ever saw him with them, but he could have had multiple pairs. And I guess she could have just had a pair before she went in. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, Morita's about to kill him! Oh, God! I will say, though, like, I don't know if my theory is wrong, though. I was gonna say, like, this dashes my theory. Like, I was going to assume it was just going to be the painting, like, the paintings tricked them, but they're still lucid. But maybe they are. Like, maybe they are still lucid right now. Who knows? Because, like, Morita is fighting with, like, skill. It's not like he's a zombie. It's not like he's acting out of pure instinct. Like, he is using guns and fighting pretty normally. And I assume, like, the way she's fighting, like, I assume these gauntlets aren't, like, psychically controlled. It's like, I assume there is some sort of science to operating them that she is using. So maybe they are, like, still in a dream world, and in their world, everything they're doing makes perfect sense. It's possible. This is a good way to, like, to amp up the difficulty, though. Because I assume, like, if they don't kill them all here, like, if she does not die in this arc, and everyone leaves Souboutei, and then they come back in the future, I assume she will still be here, and she'll still be a threat that has to be defeated. It's that imminent problem of, don't give the zombie horde more fuel to work with. Or in this case, don't give Souboutei more things to to protect itself with. Okay, chapter 20. This is the final chapter I've got to read right now. Takaha's portraits. Okay, so it looks like his eyes are actually, like, gone. Like, they're not just sunken in, they're gone, he's bleeding out of them. Why didn't I save that puppy? Oh god. So I think they are still lucid. Like, oh boy, that makes things a whole lot worse. Okay, so he's the first one to actually try and attack the painter, whereas the others all, like, noticed the painter but then didn't do anything. This is that building? Hmm. Okay. Um, what happened to him? By the way, I really do love the way that, like, each time we do see them regressing. Like, there's always at least one thing like this of their face changing. I really do appreciate that, as opposed to just hard cutting to him being a child. Um, no, no, what did he do? Like, I assume he was just trapped in there? Oh, God. Okay, that is terrifying. My friends didn't look for me. Pitch black, paralyzed, suffocating. Oh, and this time he actually, like, reverted back to his adult self. Oh, no. Here's another question, though. Like, will they work together now that they've both been broken by Souboutei? Like, does Souboutei get to control them like chess pieces, or is there a possibility that they'll attack one another? Huh. Okay, so no, he didn't do it intentionally. He just missed. God damn, though. I mean, I suppose that also implies that his spiritual energies will work on normal people. Like, there's no hope that if you set in, like, a monk, for instance, then their power can't be turned around by Souboutei. Like, it absolutely can. Also, Stomu, get a grip. I mean, when you see one person bleeding from their eyes and, trying to kill you, you should probably take that as a hint. I'm glad he's gonna learn his lesson with at least two people bleeding from the eyes while trying to kill him. Oh, and there we are. It's Takaha's portrait. I guess this time around it might actually save him, though. Like, if it physically teleports the user somewhere else. Okay, so it's good, but it's also bad. Because now I really hope this is something new, by the way. Like, I hope this isn't just, like, Stomu going back to that night. Actually, no, it can't be, because these have all been horrible things that have happened to the individual. So it can't be, like, him having a flashback of telling Rokuro to, go into the house and explore. It has to be something that happened to him specifically, which is exciting. We don't know that much about our main character, crazily enough. This will be a good way to kind of exposit about him. It'll also be a way to see how you can, like, get out of this without your mind being broken. I mean, I can't say that for sure. Maybe he will have his mind broken, but I don't think it'll be the case. I feel like he has to be able to come out. Though that said, it's not necessarily true. Like, we do have Seiichi and Rokuro as potential other main characters. It's possible that Kurenai and Tsutomu are going to stay in, like, they'll stay in Souboutei forever. Or even, like, they'll be able to, not be controlled by Souboutei, but they also won't be able to leave the house. That is also a very real possibility now that I think about it. I don't want that to be the case, but it's possible. It's also possible they'll be mind broken, but Seiichi and Rokuro will come in and do something to free them. Like, we'll have some reason, like, some way to make these characters lucid once again. Which would, like, on one hand, that makes it a little less scary that they've been possessed. On the other hand, it also means that it's going to be a lot harder to kill people once you know that they can be saved. Yeah, I really do appreciate that there is no easy answer out of this. There's no solution that I can think of that is like, oh, well, if you do this, that's it, game over, Souboutei isn't scary anymore. Everything has a cost to it, but there are still, like, logical ways to get out of this. Overall, these have been some good chapters. Like, I can't say much about the mechanics of Souboutei apart from I really hope they remain consistent, because, like, the more I think about it, the more I realize, yeah, we did see the portraits before, and the idea that, yeah, you can't escape as long as you don't see your own portraits, it all makes sense. I really love that there are rules to it. I hope that these rules don't make Souboutei less scary going forward. Like, as I said before, I think it's a lot scarier to be able to understand something, but to be able to do nothing about it, as opposed to, like, fighting something that is just inexplicable, that changes its own rules constantly. If I had to guess, I really want to see like a couple more chapters of just characters exploring their portraits. I don't want to go through literally everyone. Like, I do want to do the sisters because I do think that's something that would like separate the sisters to be cool. Like if they each have a different trauma, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be also kind of interesting to see one of them die, but not all of them. I really don't know who is going to survive. The fact that the Pyromary couple had a shared portrait means that I assume they're going to go through their struggle together. I'm curious to see whether that means they'll both fall as a couple or like whether they'll somehow be able to help each other. I think their trauma would be the easiest one to explain, though. I assume it's whatever led the lady to being traumatized, which could honestly be a form of therapy. Weirdly enough, I could see her coming out of this better off than when she came into Souboutei. She might be the only character in the entire series that could feasibly happen to. But yeah, so I'm predicting more chapters of, exploring the portraits, and then we'll have Seiichi and Rokuro busting into Souboutei. Maybe we'll have a chapter or two of like the Prime Minister like trying to figure out how the spiral thing works. That'd be curious in its own right, because it seems like we're delving further into these people controlled by Souboutei. Which, first of all, I want to see if Seiichi really is a person controlled by Souboutei just with his mind, or if there's something else going on with him. Either way, that opens up the possibility of, using him to experiment on to see what can kill these things, what can exercise them. If they are different, that just expands the world even more, and I'm interested to see what that'll lead to. I guess I don't have much else to talk about. The Souboutei is so good. I'm so excited for the possibility of being able to read it time and time again. I know I said I might not be able to do it weekly, but I'll give it a good shot. Like, I won't wait for them to come up on Matakami. I'll just read them on Manga Dex. I tested the reader before. I'm pretty sure the reader will work. I'll just have to adjust my OBS settings to make sure that I'm not cutting anything off, but oh boy, I'm so excited. I am so genuinely excited. And also, by the way, this is going out specifically to Steak. I think this is all very readable. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. The visuals do look worse. Like, that's just to be said. But especially with these shots, like, I was really worried about very dark moments. Because this is a bit of a offset, but Dr. Stone, one of my favorite series ever, is a series that is very good in the official release, but it's really bad in the scanlations, because something that the scanlations do just makes it very blotchy. Like, in scenes where there's a ton of fine detail, it turns out really bad, and I was very scared that Souboutei would have that happen. Like, and maybe it's happening, maybe I'm just not noticing it. Like, let's look at this portrait specifically. Like, there's so much fine detail here. It looks completely fine. Like, sure, there's some, like, page grain here, but that's to be expected. I'm pretty sure these are physical scans, right? But yeah, like, they look absolutely fine. They're not as clean as the previous chapters, if we go back to, 15. But they don't need to have that level of fidelity. And honestly, I'd rather have chapters that are, like, clearly scanned, but that also can keep all of that beautiful, beautiful detail, as opposed to cleaned chapters that lose some of that detail. Like, I can't say for sure, but it does feel like some of the detail might be bleached out of some of these, just by virtue of them being cleans. I don't know, though. Like, this is highly detailed and also very well cleaned, so I could just be talking out of my butt. In any case, though, I'm happy that I can read Souboutei. Thank you so very much. I hope everyone else is enjoying this as much as I am. Oh, boy. Okay, that's enough. Cutting it off here. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.